I've known him over 18 years, since TV Pro. He was in my class.
So, Greg, how long have you known Sumi?
About 20 years. We took drama in high school together.
And if you could describe him in one word, what would it be?
Master technician, creative expert. We've done movies together. We've done all sorts of crazy stuff, and it's all over the place.
Wait, now hold on, Greg. Just one word.
Beast, stand-up guy,
One word.
survivor.
If I could sum it up in one word, that word would be survivor. He is a survivor. He never gives up.
I haven't looked at this book in quite a while. It shows the damage to a small town called Kashawazaki in Niigata, Japan. It happened back in 2007. There was an earthquake. I was visiting my grandparents, and I guess I just had to help out. I was talking to a monk, after the earthquake struck, and he, was telling everyone how some of the temples had collapsed. He said that the different temples, the temples were built on top of sand, and maybe that's why they collapsed. But those temples were built in the 13th, 17th century, so that's kind of how they did things back then. Yeah, over here the train's knocked over, and to the left, where those people are, a man got crushed by a house. He's just walking and he got crushed. Horrible. This depicts the power plant. I guess, the toxic waste came out of that thing. About 75,000 gallons went into the water. And, I remember drinking the water, so I hope I'm okay. I'm not radiated or anything. Yeah, some more cracks in the ground. It was really hard just to get anywhere, at that time. You had to walk pretty much, kind of trapped there. And this kind of shows the people trying to decide what to do. And in the upper left, kind of the younger looking guy, that's the governor at the time. I guess he's being told what's happened with all the people. Here's some of the people trying to render aid. Some of them trying to move debris, look for people. They're cadaver dogs, every morning. I think these are the people who pretty much lost everything. I mean, if you were inside of one of these disaster relief areas, it was that was it. You didn't have anything. Some people sleeping in their car. I mean, it's really kind of a sad thing. Well, that's another thing. You're so thankful to see just any type of troops with water and food, because there's just nothing. I'm putting this book back now.
When we were filming Hawaii Ghost Mysteries, did you see him in the woods?
Yeah, he made all the torches and costuming, and even that authentic Hawaii warrior gourd helmet.
Well, when we were there, all the trees looked the same to me, but Masumi, he went one by one down the line and told me what each one was and why they were there. He was like he channeled Mr. Wizard or something.
This is the aloe plant, good for treating burns, scrapes, minor cuts. Grows wild in the islands. This is the lemon situ tree. It's good for making limeade. It only grows here in the Wando estate. These are kind of slimy. They're very hard to pull. You know, these green ones are pretty good too. You know, I remember picking some of these earlier. These aren't too bad. Easily get a handful of these and make them into a delicious drink.
The fruits.
Today we're going to make some Wandoade. It's actually limeade that we picked from the Wando estate, these limes that we picked earlier. First, you need the lime, you need a clean glass, and you start by cutting the lime in half, putting it inside of the glass. I'm using a strainer here to strain out the seeds. I mean, you don't really have to do this. Some sugar, and some water. And you mix all that together and you have a nice refreshing drink for the hike. Umami! Umami! That's good.
He wants to test himself, and you can't do that here in Hawaii. I mean, the island is just overcrowded. And Hawaii also has a mild climate as well.
Tell me about why you want to be on alone.
Well, first off, it'd be an opportunity to represent my state. It'd also be an opportunity to put my years of survival training to its ultimate test and see if I could make it out there.
Okay, you're holding back though. Tell me what you really are thinking.
Alright, well, let's be honest with ourselves. If we're being honest, we all know what's making Alone such a good show. What it is you're taking normal, everyday people, you know, with some outdoors experience, and you're putting them into an unforgiving environment. And you're giving them a fighting chance. Plus that, you're making the stakes very high. You know, it's a true wonder. It's like something I've never seen before. I mean, as far as I know, something like this would never be seen on broadcast television normally. And I think about it sometimes. I think about like the PhDs and all the people in their ivory towers at the university. They can never get enough grant money to do stuff like this, to have an experiment like Alone. And the point is that I want to be part of a wonder. I want to be part of something amazing.
Dude, he survived an earthquake and nuclear waste, months without any power, water, or food. He knows everything about prepping and survival. I think he can handle a year in the woods.
And go whenever you're ready.
Going for it. Throwing knives in the jungle. It's very relaxing. Yeah! 3 in the tree! Yeah! Yeah! Look at that. Bet you couldn't do that.
Okay.
Next we'll be talking about the most important tool that you can carry with you in the jungles, woods, or forests. And that's your knife. Your knife is your life. Now, when handling a knife, you should be very careful. When taking a knife out of its sheath, you never want to grab the edge of this sheath like this. You don't want to put your hand over the edge, or the knife could easily cut through the leather. You want to hold it to the back of the edge, loosen the knife from its sheath, then pull it out very slowly. Now, once you have it out like this, you want to be very careful with the edge. The edge is sharp, and that can really hurt you. Now, when handing a knife to somebody, which I often do not do, because that's the easiest way to lose a friend, is that they return the knife looking like the edge of a saw blade, which isn't good for anyone. Well, if handing a knife to someone, this is how I usually do it. Take the knife in a forehand grip, like this, and then I'll push the bottom up towards the person and hand it to them that way. That's usually the safest way to hand a knife off to somebody. Next, I'll be talking about cutting with a knife, and the way that you cut with a knife. First is the forehand grip. It's where you take the knife and you grip it in your hand like this. This is very good for very strong, powerful cuts. You can quickly go through a bunch of wood this way. Next is the backhand or reverse grip cutting method. It's where you take the knife and instead of going this way, you reverse it this way. And this is good for cutting stuff like rope. You can get through it fairly precisely and quickly that way. This is the chest lever grip. It's where you take the knife and you face it towards your knuckles. And then you take your thumb and put it on top of the knife. This gives you precise cutting. Then you put it to your chest like this, and you take your branch or whatever you wish to cut, and you push this way, and you can carve fairly well with a fair level of control to what you're carving or cutting. Yeah, the chest lever grip.
Yeah. Something most people wouldn't know about you?
Well, my friends would know, but most people wouldn't know that I'm really into the paranormal, conspiracy theories, prepping, survival. I'm into bunkers, huge underground structures, you know, how they're built, how they're maintained, stuff like that. I'm also into UFOs and ghost stories, but I'm also into normal kinds of entertainment as well. Have you seen Roadhouse? Maybe Steven Seagal movies, you know, I like those, stuff like that.
Okay, good.
I've been harnessing my powers of ESP. It's good for training. Circle?
That's a miss.
Square.
Miss.
Rectangle.
That's a miss.
Wavy line.
No, that's a miss.
Triangle.
That's a miss.
Square.
That's a miss.
Bumblebee.
That's a miss.
Wavy line.
That's a miss.
Mosquito.
That's a miss.
Triangle. It's a triangle. Circle.
That's a miss.
Oh, a triangle.
That's a miss. There's no triangle in
What?
the deck.
You better say it's a triangle. That was a hit. It's a triangle.
That's a miss.
It's
Nope,
it's a
circle.
triangle. You're
That's
gonna
a
make
miss.
it a
It's a
triangle.
circle.
It's a
It's a
triangle. Mother wavy
That's a
line.
miss. It's a star. It's a star.
Well, you know, psychic stuff was never my forte anyways. My only forte is nature and going out and surviving. Square.
That's a miss.
Square again.
That's a miss.
Circle.
Wow.
A hit! I got a hit! I got a hit! I knew it. I knew it from the beginning. You know, these tests are too simple for me. You gotta give me something harder. Psychic-wise.
That's a
I'm
miss.
psychic. I knew it. The musical instrument that I like to play is the theremin. The reason why is because you can play the theremin any way that you like. And plus that, it's really cool.
One, go for it.
The reason why we learn to tie knots is because we want things to be securely fastened. The other half of it is we don't want to have to cut our rope every time we tie something down. You know, go back to the store and get some new cordage. Or, you know, go out in the jungle, find some vines or something. So today I'm going to teach you how to tie some knots. Just simple ones. The first one is called a half hitch. It's basically just like a regular knot, like probably the first type of knot you ever learned how to tie. It's very useful. It's one of the most useful, I'd have to say. The second type of knot is called a square knot. It's basically right over left and left over right. And you make a nice square knot. This is good for like joining two pieces of rope together. The third type of knot I'd like to show you is called a bowline. And what you do is you take the rope and you make a kind of loop like this. And then you take your other end of the rope, your bottom end, and go around and through the loop, making a very secure rope here that doesn't slip on you. When you're climbing up a mountain or you're trying to secure something, maybe even making a lasso, you don't want a slip knot. You don't want a knot like this that can easily like have this part slip out on you. That's a danger. You want a rope that's pretty secure. That's why you use That's why you use a bowline, one of these types of knots for that type of thing. The last knot I'd like to show you is called a clove hitch. It's a type of tension knot, mostly used to secure your horse to a tree or something. Right? Knot that goes like a loop like this. It goes over, and then it goes through again. And this is a real good knot for tensioning stuff up. Like if you want to put your horse on there or something, make sure it doesn't run away. If you're climbing up a mountain or if you're laying or something, you want to add some, half hitch into there to make it a little stronger. Very nice knot. There's another way to do the clove hitch. You basically make 2 loops like this, and then you put them over a branch, and then tighten it up. And that's fairly secure. You can hang something from there. I'm at the historic Plantation Village. Let's see what's inside. Entering the Plantation Village, looking good. To the left is a duck pond. To the right here is some taro patches. The wildlife. Some pigeons. They're pretty docile, friendly. The way the Plantation Village is set up is that there are different houses from different time eras. That way you can get more of a feel of how it was like to live in a different era, a different time in Hawaiian history. Water coming out of the hole there. I'm not sure if you can see that hole coming out of the ground there with the water coming out, but that's a freshwater spring. That's why the Hawaiians put their taro plants here, to help in irrigation. Huge taro patch. It's truly an awesome sight. This patch of plants that I'm standing in is called the taro plant. And the Hawaiians would use the leaves to wrap things in, and the root down there they'd pull up and pound into poi. What I'm standing in is a work hut. From this hut, you can build other huts, keep yourself out of the rain, the sun. It's a very efficient way of working. Even up until the 1930s, this type of hut would be common in Hawaii. In this hut, there are a lot of dried palm fronds and thatching for roofing material. Here's some more hut material. Over here is a sort of like a sawhorse. The only difference is there's a hole in the middle so you can split materials and hold them within these 2 areas here. It's better for branches that way. And the view from this hut is very nice. It's just of a little pond and of the ducks. Here's another hut under construction. Gives you a good idea of how these things are put together. There's a bit of a tenant. Usually the materials are collected and dried out in this manner, in order to make the building more stable when it's finally completed. This kind of building behind me is called a halimo. It's a historic, circa 1850 style hut built to keep workers out of the rain. I'm walking into the big meeting hall where everybody would get together, have a meeting, and take some notes. I find that in order to really learn information, it's good to read a good book more than once. I've been doing some research on the Canadians, the Voyageurs. This Old West series has some pretty good information in these books. I find it very fascinating. You can learn a lot from these books. I mean, just look at these pictures. These are gifts being given out. Look at these support beams here. English trader John Myers wrote, "The trees which supported the roof would render the mask of a first-rate man-of-war diminutive." Start of the wedding festivities, Thunderbird performs a flapping wing ritual. I'm very intrigued by this Thunderbird. It sounds fun. The coming of age ceremony. And just look at this. Pretty amazing. I mean, like, you have house. Interesting house. I'd love to live in a house painted like that. It'd be awesome. Look at this fort here. It has these masks. Large statues of Thunderbird. Here's a Stumptown. It's actually called New Westminster, but everyone just called it Stumptown because look at all this clear-cutting action happening there. I mean, just look at how people did things back then. See that fence? It looks like a chain-link design, but it's just sticks kind of crisscrossed. Pretty interesting. This guy's building a garden out there.
So, Masumi, a year in the forest with bears and wolves, will he survive?
I bet any bear that crosses his path, he'll kill it within seconds.
Hey guys, stop screwing around. I ain't killing no bears. You guys are gonna get me killed out there. Just tell them I'm a big old puppy dog. I'm a nice guy. And here's your stuff, Greg.
Hey, you better not die. I got money riding on you.
I know, Greg. I know you're trying to encourage me. You've been doing this. I know you've been trying to, like, be nice to me. But,
Right.
you know, you shouldn't be betting money on me. That's all I'm saying is, well, what if I don't get past the selection process? That's a big if on the selection process, first off. And then what if I quit the same day? I mean, you'd be out money. And I can't see that with my friends, out money. That's just a bad thing. I mean, and you think about that also. You know what dying is? Dying's the body's way of quitting. Think about that.
You got a point.
That's right. Now I gotta move the car. So stop screwing around, you guys. I'm not fighting no bears.
Where did he come from?
I don't know. I think he's gonna move the car, but who knows? Is he gone?
Let me see. Now he's crossing his arms, and he's jumping down the elevator shaft.
That's just Masumi.
Go! Okay, alright.
I can't imagine anything he'll see in those woods will be worse than what he sees when he shuts his eyes at night. Have you heard about the dreams he's had? They're nothing but nightmares. And when he sleeps, he doesn't snore, he laughs. Chuck Norris would tremble in his presence.
We got tree fall. Look at that thing. Some might say that chopping down trees, building campfires, going swimming, hiking, is destroying the planet, but I say far from it. Our growing knowledge of bushcraft is helping our natural world. As we employ these skills, some might say that we're being wasteful, we're consuming natural resources, but I of course say that's far from the truth. The more that we learn about plants, animals, trees, everything around us, the more we cherish them. The more we cherish them, the more we respect them. The more we respect them, the more we take care of them and nurture them. That's what makes us good custodians of the planet, of this earth. Of course, I do find it very difficult to pull myself away from the wasteful, yet convenience-filled way of doing things in modern life. I will admit to really liking it.
His intensity scares me sometimes. He's a beast, I told you. He says he's a cream puff, but that's all bullshit. You think he's scared? He's an only child. He's been alone his entire life. 1 year in the woods is gonna be like a vacation to him. Tapping out is for pussies, and Masumi doesn't tap out. He's gonna get this no sweat.
I know I couldn't do it.
There's only one thing I can say. If you're going to let Masumi compete in this thing, you better be ready to cut him a check. Or bring him out in a body bag. Because when he commits to something, he goes all the way. I've worked in live television for over 17 years, and the one thing I can tell you about Sumi is that he knows how to deliver results. So if you guys send him out in the middle of nowhere, you guys better get ready for some of the best footage you've ever seen in your life.